in the state of New Mexico, I've really enjoyed some of the presentations here about setting up your party in each state. And I really wanted to get more national committee members because I get tired of coming to these presentations alone. Well, we have 3 right now, and Aaron Abel is a county leader in San Juan County, and our state treasurer is Charlene Bishop, and I think she joined the party, I think when dirt became popular in southern deserts of New Mexico. Yeah, she's been with the party for quite some time, but she's a great treasurer. She's done a great job, and she's here with us, and then I'm the 3rd one. So all 3 of our national committee members are here. So, of course, in our convention last April, I was the only representative from New Mexico. So it sure felt good to have 3 of us here. Now, I have a letter here. State of New Mexico, Maggie Toulouse Oliver, Secretary of State. I received this in early March, and the subject is Notice of Minor Party Disqualification. Dear Mr. Bowen, pursuant to Section 1-7-2C NMSA 1978, this correspondence serves to notify you that the Constitution Party in New Mexico has failed to meet the statutory requirements to remain as a qualified minor party in the state of New Mexico. While the Constitution Party in New Mexico did nominate a candidate for President of the United States to appear on the 2016 general election ballot, that candidate failed to meet the minimum threshold of required votes of at least 0.5% of the total votes cast for that office, or 3,992 votes. He did receive 50.4% more votes than our 2012 candidate. So we did have a much better showing this time around, and I was really disappointed in the numbers we did get, even though there wasn't a good increase, because there was so much more I wanted to do. And getting around the state, I tried, but it was difficult for me to get around and get more participation from the outer areas. And the Secretary goes on to say, in order to re-qualify as a minor party in New Mexico, the party's governing body must adopt and file party rules with our office and file the minimum number of qualifying petition signatures of 2,564 on the prescribed petition form available from our office. The petition form and more information related to requalifying as a minor party may be found on our website. Now, I've asked a few questions of the Secretary of State's office about when can we start collecting the signatures and when is the last day we can submit them. And in the election handbook, this NMSA 1978, I went in and checked that, and the drop dead date is 23 days following the 2018 primary election in the state. If they go by past history, we will have to turn these signatures in around the 28th of June of 2018. So we still have more than 1 year to get these. Now, we had to get over 3,000 in 2014, and we turned in 5,700. And we only had about 3 or 4 months to get them. If I can't rally the troops enough to get 2,564 qualifying signatures in a little more than a year, something's wrong. And I have some people in locations that I think I can really get a lot, and we should be able to get them fairly quickly. Aaron Abel came to us last year. In his county, we had 11 registered voters. And he attended one of our meetings after he had contacted us through the website. He came to Albuquerque to one of our monthly meetings, and I had already made a couple of trips to Farmington, where he lives, and he has his little business there. And I really liked what I saw in him. In his office, he had a little bookcase there, and of course I always take a look at, if you invite me into your home, first thing I'm going to do is shake your hand and walk over and look at your bookcase. I want to see what you read. I looked at the books he had in his bookshelf there, and I swear, I was about ready to call my wife and have her check my bookcase to make sure mine were still there, because he had a lot of the same books I had. And being a paid member of the Mises Institute, I have quite a collection of books by Ludwig von Mises, Murray Rothbard, Tom DiLorenzo, people like that. And when I saw what he had in that bookcase, I knew a lot of the education was already done. Now I'm learning stuff from him. So he does know, and he understands the truth about what's going on with our country economically. So I have the right man. I asked him at that meeting if he'd be interested in being our San Juan County leader. And he said yes, he would. So we held a quick vote. And of course it was unanimous. So he became our county leader in San Juan County. About the same time, I received an email via our website from a gentleman who lived in Lovington, New Mexico, which is kind of in the southeastern part of the state. And he was a disgruntled Republican. He said that he was so tired of the Republican Party totally ignoring him. All they wanted was his vote on Election Day. And he was interested in taking a look at our party. And I haven't met him in person yet. We lost contact with him for a while. He lives out in the country outside of Lovington, and he said the phone service out there is pretty bad. But eventually, I was able to get a hold of him, and we've reestablished contact now, and I'm going to make a trip over there shortly, and I want to see if I can meet with some of our party members over there. We have 12 or 14 registered voters in his county. And I want to meet with them and see if we can get some people interested in collecting the signatures for us over there. And there's some good population centers over there. It's not far from Roswell and Hobbs. Hobbs is the home of Steve Pierce, the Republican in the House of Representatives from that district. And it's not that far from Clovis. So there's some population centers there where we have registered voters, and I would love to recruit a few of those to get out and help us get the signatures. And I lost my county leader in Dona Ana County, which is Las Cruces. But I have been sending out so much material, and it got this guy's attention. He emailed me and said he'd been with the party for 10 years, and he used to come to the meetings in Albuquerque when Dave Batchelor was the chairman. I don't know if any of you have been around long enough to have ever met Dave Batchelor. He lives in San Antonio, Texas now. I've spoken to him on the phone a few times and exchanged emails. And he said he moved down to Las Cruces. He's down there now. And I want to go down and meet him face to face and see if I can find me a new county leader down there. But this guy said that this stuff that I've been sending out and talking about on the website and references to my agendas I have for a monthly meeting, he says, I never heard this from the Constitution Party before. And he said he's quite interested in it. So I get a little political sometime, and I guess in my background, some of you already know that I worked in the White House Communications Agency from 1970 to 79. And my first boss was this one right here, Richard Nixon. I worked for Richard Nixon, all of Gerald Ford, and part of Jimmy Carter. I got a real good look at our government inside. I didn't like what I saw. And I'm not going to go into any details on it, but I knew right then I had to get out. 5 alphabet agencies tried to recruit me, and I said, I've been away from my family too long, I'm going back to California. So I left there in 1979, went back to California, and I moved to New Mexico in 2011. To get back on the ballot, we go to things, we have a lot of luck. At gun shows, we get a lot of support there. At the colleges, swap meets. We have one every Saturday at the state fairgrounds in Albuquerque, and we got a lot from there. And in one instance, I was speaking with some Native Americans there, and they told me, he says, you need to get over to San Juan County. He says, your message goes well in that county. That happens to be where Aaron Abel's from. So we hope to get a lot of signatures over there, a lot of support. We'll get it at the swap meet there in Albuquerque. And when we went to gun shows, when they see our platform stance on Second Amendment, they really light up. So if I can get that southeastern part of the state going and get with the guy down in Las Cruces and with Aaron, and then us up here in the, well, up here, not in St. Louis, but in Albuquerque area. I live in Valencia County, about 23 miles south of Albuquerque on I-25. So with those right there, we should be able to collect those 5,000 signatures I want to turn in. We should collect them fairly quickly. And I do have one more trip to make. I think I've saved enough money on this trip that I'll be able to make my annual trip to California to visit with my family. And then I'll be back here. I'm only going to be gone maybe a week and a half. And the message that they like to hear, when we deliver it at a gun show, they jump at it. On the college campuses, UNM, University of New Mexico in Albuquerque, I noticed when I walked out on the campus there and was getting signatures, for some reason the students walked around with a frown on their face. And they weren't that friendly. And a lot of them reluctantly passed on signing our petitions. We did get a pretty good amount, but it should have been more. Went down to Las Cruces to New Mexico State. Beautiful campus. Beautiful trees and grass. I mean, it looked nice. The students were smiling they had a little bounce in their step. I says, wow, what a difference. I saw this black kid, young man, and he said he couldn't sign my petition because he's from El Paso. He's resident of Texas. I said, why are you here in, why didn't you go to school over at UTEP? You're here in New Mexico State. What made you come over here? He said, I did my first semester at El Paso at UTEP. He said the professors there treated him like a number or like an object. That they didn't look at him like a student wanting to learn something. And he said, I've got some ideas in my head of things that I want to build. He says, I want to be an engineer. I want to design things. And he says, the engineering program at UTEP wasn't as good. Someone suggested he come over to New Mexico State. So he went over to Las Cruces and registered there. He said, the professors there are so engaging directly with the students. And he said the engineering program is excellent. And he loved it there. He said, I'd like to sign your petition, but I'm from Texas. So I noticed a similar attitude among the students at New Mexico State. And I said, man, if I was a young man again, that's where I'd want to go to school. It's a good school. But that's a great place to get signatures. And if you can get that type of attitude in the group of people you're around, that is an excellent chance of getting a lot of signatures. And we were very successful down there. But it didn't take us long to get the 5,700. And I would say there was about 4 or 5 of us that did most of that work. If I could get 10 or 12, man, that would be wonderful. I'd like to have them spread out more over the state. But we did travel to Gallup. They have a big Indian swap meet there at Gallup. And our candidate in the 2014 election in McKinley County ran under the Constitution Party banner there, and he beat the Republican. But he couldn't beat the Democrat in a heavy Democrat area. But Michael Lennon's his name. He runs a UPS store in Gallup, and he went out with us to the swap meet, and we made probably 4 or 5 trips over there, and we got a lot of signatures. And I remember one guy from Theroux, it's a small community north of Gallup, when he said, you guys are not Republicans and you're not Democrats? That's right. Where do I sign? And so, like the presenters today have already stated, the people right now are ready. And we need to be ready for them and bring them into the party. And we'll be successful. And it's not going to take long. And another thing I do, when I first became chairman in 2014, I said, I'm not mailing anything to the Secretary of State's office. I'm going in person every time. It takes me about an hour and 20 minutes to drive up to Santa Fe from my house. And I drive up there and I meet the people, and I have excellent relationship with those people. And when I walk in there now, I see smiling faces, and they get up, come over, shake my hand, greet me by name. And I started working with the education department there because we had a representative from Logan, New Mexico. He's in education department, and he was the vice chairman on the education committee, and he spoke to us when we went up there for a gun control issue. And the last thing he said, the best thing we could do for the children in New Mexico is get the federal government out of it. And I went over to him and I said, man, I said, you're the first elected official I've ever heard that come out and said exactly what I've been saying for decades. And he says, thank you for coming and working with us. He says, we need your help. So stay with us and help us out. So I've been up there 5 or 6 times since then, and I've been working with the the education committee, and hopefully we'll get something accomplished there, and Common Core will be a thing in the past, I hope.